just click over to crystalflush.com.
$395 northbound, tree down at King Street. 2 left lanes get by. Thank goodness nobody hit that. Delays beginning off of northbound 95. No change in Kensington. Beach Drive remains closed with a down tree between Knowles Avenue and Cedar Lane. White Oak into Four Corners. Rush hour volume delays. We're still heavy. Southbound 29 near Tech Road, off and on to extend inside the Beltway past Franklin Avenue. Now from GarageDoorRepair.com, the WMAL Stormwatch 7 forecast.
Scattered showers and a few thunderstorms this afternoon and into the evening with temperatures in the 70s. Tomorrow we'll see showers and thunderstorms that will be isolated during the afternoon, upper 70s to lower 80s. Hot and humid on Friday with storm chances. I'm 7 News meteorologist Steve Rudman, the First Alert Weather Center.
64 at Reagan National. John Matthews, News Talk 105.9 WMAL.
Now on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app. Chris Plant.
Before the president did what he did, China's tariffs on the United States were a little over 20% on average. Now they're 10. Unless you're the reason that your parents drank, you see that it was a big victory, not just for President Trump, but for America. Now, I've listened all day to some of my Democratic colleagues say that we didn't get anything for it. You know, if you believe that, I'm not saying you're the dumbest person in the world, but you better hope the dumbest person in the world doesn't die.
Senator John Kennedy sticks the landing pretty much every time. He is absolutely a national treasure. And I love it that his name is Senator John F. Kennedy because it drives the Democrats crazy. It's Michael Pelkin for my friend Chris Plant, here for a couple of days. Hello, how are you? Thanks for being here on this Wednesday. I hope you survived the craziness of the weather. It was just nuts. And apparently sweeping across the country in different waves of nuts. I know here in D.C. where the show is based, it's been wild. I want to address something that Senator Kennedy was talking about, and that is the tariffs and the reaction from Democrats to the tariffs and now the results. Because granted, it's just been over a month since the Tariff Liberation Day, since the Rose Garden event where the president held up the chart and talked about the lack of fairness in trade with our country and several other nations around the world, dozens, if you will. And now that I think we're on the precipice of a major trade deal with basically the whole world, but individually. I think it's fair to relive some of the madness of the left and how they reacted, because initially the president's trade and tariff packages were not as well accepted by Wall Street, which, you know, the Democrats will either love or hate depending on who's in office. That's a very, very obvious thing. But it was April 5th, just after the tariffs were imposed and the president had a little bit of a rough patch with the stock market. It was April 5th that Eric Swalwell joined some of his angry Democrats on a stage in D.C., and they were ranting and raving and, well, cursing, of course, because that's one of their new skills.
Our 401ks are 201ks.
Oh, look what he did. Look what he did, some fun math there. He did funny math, didn't he? Really? How many of you actually have 401ks? Can you be honest? Because I know a lot of you don't. Well, Swalwell does because you and I pay for it. Back to the clip.
Our 401ks are 201ks. And where is Donald Trump? He's golfing. So to Donald Trump, I say, get your ass off the golf course and face the people. This is what kicking the out of fascism looks like.
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay. Sure, thank you. That's the cursing. That's the new Democrats. They want to curse to get street cred. Eric Swalwell. Not exactly the sharpest knife in the drawer, if you will. And as I check on the markets, because the markets, they have yet to open today. But if we look at just the stock markets for the last 30 days, I'm going to go with the Dow Jones Industrial Index. If we go with the last 30 days, we got down under 39,000 points on the Dow. And as of today, 42,140. That looks like a healthy rebound. That appears to be a correction if you were to do that. And if we're to do year to year, because that's what people like to say, what does a year over year look like? That's what the financial people say. We're up year over year. It's good. That's, again, we're currently at just under 43,000. We were as high as 45, but a year ago, it was, again, under 39,000. So, Mr. Swalwell, yeah, you're not a smart guy, sir. You should really just stay in your lane and not do this kind of stuff. It's grandstanding. It's like going to the New Jersey ICE detention center and pretending to really care about the people inside. You have no idea about the rapists inside, the people from either Tren de Aragua or MS-13. You're completely clueless on that. But he's fun to make fun of, and we do keep track. We do keep records. We do go all the way back to April of this year. Meanwhile, President Trump, as I said, halfway around the world, he was speechifying yesterday in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. One of the most amazing things that I witnessed yesterday and talked about it yesterday afternoon as well. But one of the most amazing things I witnessed was the President of the United States in a giant ballroom with possibly 5,000 people gathered. Many from the region, of course. You had many of the Emirates represented there. You had Bahrainians there. You had people from Oman. And, of course, his host, the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, Mohammed bin Salman, welcoming the president, introducing the president, and making me feel really comfortable. But what was stunning and amazing to me was the introduction of President Donald John Trump. They played the song, the Lee Greenwood song, God Bless the USA. It was a recording, and it sounded good. Thank God they didn't use the Saudi marching band. I know Chris talked about it yesterday. We were laughing about it, texting back and forth about it. To me, the Saudi marching band playing our anthem sounded like the Mayberry marching band from, yes, the old television series. But the president was allowed to walk out after his introduction by MBS to Lee Greenwood's song, and everyone in the room stood. The entire room stood, and they stood for the whole song. The entire song. The respect that is now conferred upon the President of the United States by this group cannot be denied. And it's killing the left. And I am here for it. I'm here for every second of it. But then at the very end of it was a remarkable moment. Even more amazing than the standing of the delegation that was there, the thousands who stood before President Trump spoke. At the very end of his address, he thanked the Crown Prince. He thanked all the people who were in attendance. And then they started playing YMCA and the Village People. It just blows my mind. If you understand the region, if you understand the culture of the area, if you even suggested playing the Village People in public in Saudi Arabia, you probably would still be behind bars today if this were 10 years ago. Donald Trump standing on stage, he didn't do the dance. I wish he would have done the dance. He did not do the dance. Had he done that, I believe it would have been just brought the house down. And the Crown Prince did not either. He came up and shook his hand. They were very enthusiastic. Then they went on a tour of Mohammed bin Salman's home area. And he was driven around on a golf cart by the future king of Saudi Arabia, Mohammed bin Salman. Now, a lot of people on the left are saying, how dare we How dare we do any kind of business with these people? We know the story of Khashoggi. We know that whole story. Let's not try and claim this guy was an American either. Yes, it was a horrible situation, but do you not do business with this critical partner in a region that is also the sworn enemy of the people who wake up every morning and say death to America? Yeah, that's what the Iranians do. They get up every morning before they check the weather, before they turn on Iranian AccuWeather, they say death to America and death to Israel. All the infidels must die. The Saudis are friends in the region, are mortal enemies with the Iranians. It's the Sunni Shia thing. And those two will never get along. So we should be friends with the ones who don't wake up in the morning and say, death to America. And we are. Culturally, they have a lot of differences. Yes, women can drive now. No, they don't have the same rights as women in America do. But we're making progress. And I think what Donald Trump is doing is creating a positive force. A guy who's talking about doing good things in the region and creating opportunity based on peace and goodwill versus muscle, might, and military power and military action. The other big news that happened during that conference yesterday was the moment that triggered the biggest round of applause of the entire day. The largest round of applause that happened during President Trump's address came when he made a surprise announcement. At least it was an announcement that appeared to take everybody in the room by surprise. Not only took them by surprise, but it also it brought the room to its feet. It brought the entire room to its feet when the president announced that he was going to be lifting the sanctions, completely removing the sanctions on Syria. And Syria, and you're probably saying, wait a minute, Syria, not our friends, right? We're not friends with them. Well, we were big enemies with them when Bashar al-Assad was there, and that guy was a terrorist tied to the Iranians and tied to Hezbollah. And he was also a guy who was selling what they call Captagon. If you know what Captagon is, you probably understand. Captagon was the jihad drug that powered all of the attack on Israel. Captagon was a $3 billion a year export that was just absolutely enriching only Bashar al-Assad. And so they got him out of the area, and that was a good thing. That was a critical thing. But yesterday, when President Trump announced he was going to drop all the sanctions against Syria, there was a 34-second standing ovation. There was a gigantic roar. And the president was pretty clear on it, too. He did that based on a request from his host, based upon a request from MBS. Mohammed bin Salman. And after the 34-second applause break ended, President Trump said,
"Oh, what I do for the Crown Prince. The sanctions were brutal and crippling and served as an important function, nevertheless, at the time. But now it's their time to shine. It's their time to shine. We're taking them all off, and they're going to have, I think they're going to have, based on the people and the spirit and everything else that I'm hearing about. So I say, good luck, Syria. Show us something very special like they've done, frankly, in Saudi Arabia. Okay, they're going to show us something special. Very good people.
Let's hope. Let's hope. Look, for years we've been fighting with bombs and attacks to try and shut down the terrorism that has been just infesting that part of the world. And Assad's gone, and you got a new guy in there. Yes, he has some history, questionable history. A lot of people are raising questions about this guy's history with ISIS. President Trump has met with the new leader of Syria. And I guarantee you the sanctions that he is going to order taken off can easily be returned in a heartbeat if anything happens. But if Iran doesn't have its friend anymore, President Trump is isolating them. This is great diplomacy on display. We'll get into all this and then some more clips from today, because this morning's speech, which happened about 4 o'clock, I watched the whole thing. I'll share it with you. There were some magic moments there as well. If you want to join the conversation, you can. 888-630-9625, 888-630-9625. It's the Chris Platt Show with Mike Opelka.
This is the Chris Platt Show. News Talk 105.9 WMAL, making sense of the news.
WMAL traffic from the Hadid Carpet Cleaning Traffic Center. 395 still jammed between the Beltway and King Street, where we had a tree that came down on 395. 2 left lanes currently get by. No change in Kensington with Beach Drive closed with the downed tree between Knowles Avenue and Cedar Lane. Silver Spring, the crash on Connecticut Avenue is southbound after Veers Mill Road. Solid delays through town each direction on the freeway between the 14th Street Bridge and the 11th Street Bridge. Now from GarageDoorRepair.com, the WMAL Stormwatch 7 forecast.
Scattered showers and thunderstorms return this afternoon. We'll have a high of 75. Showers, possibly a thunderstorm overnight, low 65.
Hey, if you have ugly yellow toe fungus, you got to hear about the secret 2-minute trick that I found for my husband. It works from both the inside and the outside. Thousands of people are using it to get rid of their toe fungus. You can check it out at crystalflesh.com. Jake started off with a small spot on his big toe, and then it spread and got really bad. His toes were nasty. It was so embarrassing. He was afraid to take his socks off. He hid his yellow and crumbly toes from everyone. He tried everything to get rid of it. Nothing helped. And then we found crystalflesh.com. It was the only thing that worked. In just a few weeks, his toes looked amazing. He's now walking around barefoot again. You guys need to try this. I'm telling you, this stuff is different. It's not sold in stores, but go check it out at crystalflesh.com. They'll even let you try it risk-free, so you have nothing to lose. But whatever you do, don't let it get worse. You don't have to live with this anymore. Go check it out now. Just click over to crystalflesh.com.
We are the American Cancer Society, making strides against breast cancer. Are you ready to join the #1 breast cancer movement in the country? Sign up today at makingstrideswalk.org.
We're with Bridget, whose husband won't be home for months and whose daughter is due any day. We're with all service members and their families. Are you with them? Learn more at USA.org.
Cocksuckers.
Nightly Scroll with Haley Caronia.
It is Haley Caronia. I'm excited to be here because there's a lot to scroll through on X, on Instagram, on TikTok, on Truth Social. Love seeing you all in the chat before the show. I tried to jump in just a few minutes before to say hello. I love the chat interaction. Thank you for helping. Love all my homies that I get to scroll with. If you want to listen, Nightly Scroll with Haley is where you can find me. Just search that up and I will be there. We've got to spread the word far and wide.
Nightly Scroll with Haley Caronia. Follow and listen on your favorite platform.
When your business information is missing or inconsistent across the internet, search engines won't find you, and customers won't either. Help ensure customers see you and not your competitors. Boost your findability. Cumulusboost.com. CUMULUS Boost.com.
As a young adult at this point in your life, you probably have a lot of questions. Like, what's next? What does my future hold? The thing is, there's no right answer, only your answer. Your friendships, experiences, and purpose. It's all your choice. So what will you choose? As you make choices about the future, the military can be a resource for information to help bring a fulfilling path into focus. A public service message from the Department of Defense. To learn more, visit todaysmilitary.com.
Happy kids heal faster. That's why Starlight Children's Foundation delivers happiness through gaming, toy deliveries, and more to hospitals across the country. Learn more at starlight.org.
making sense of your morning.
Lots of coverage here on that developing story.
O'Connor and Company, weekday mornings from 5 to 9.
Larry O'Connor here getting you through your morning.
Making sense of Washington.
Asking some very specific questions, some legitimate questions.
Making sense of the double standard.
Then here's the latest example.
Making sense of the headlines.
Let me break it down for you, because there's plenty to break down here.
O'Connor and Company with Larry O'Connor. Mornings from 5 to 9. News Talk 105.9 WMAL. Making sense of the news. Your phone has a lot of apps, but how many of them help you make sense of your world? The new WMAL app gives you the latest headlines, perspective from the voices you trust, and weather info to keep you in the know, all without having to remember yet another password.
Yeah, I'm all right with that.
Stream your favorite shows, get the day's top headlines, and access our podcast archives, all with the new WMAL app.
Thank you.
Get the WMAL app today on Google Play or the Apple App Store, and stay connected. Making sense of the border.
Homeland security is right there at the tippy top of American concerns.
WMAL's Vince Colonnades, weekdays at noon.
You've got to be tough.
News Talk 105.9 WMAL, making sense of the news. Making sense of social media, because big tech can't be trusted. Download the WMAL app to stream us for free.
It is the Chris Plant Show. Mike Opelka sitting in for my friend Chris. Happy to be here, thrilled to be here, honored to be here, trying to get to everything. And I will catch us up on some of the other crazy stories happening. I opened up with a little bit of a recap from President Trump yesterday. And according to one of you, I may have gotten something wrong, which happens. It happens. I think it's Moni in Columbia, Maryland, joining us. Is it correctly pronounced Moni, your name?
Moni.
Moni. Hello, Moni. Explain to me. Help me out here.
Yes, I am an immigrant from Iran. I was educated in the United States. I had a high position in Iranian government. Iran is 5,000 years old. Iran has written the first proclamation of human rights in the year of 539 BCE. Iranians are very civilized. Iranians are decent people. There are 2 million of us here, but you never hear any Iranian doing anything but being professors of universities and businessmen and people. And I'm an author and writer and historian. This regime was established in Iran by President Carter, democratic policy, because the British wanted free oil from Iran, and the Shah of Iran was refusing. He said, you pay as much as you pay to anybody else for our oil. Therefore, they took him out of Iran and established Khomeini, that I have his letters to President Carter saying, if you put me in charge in Iran, you can get anything you want. This is what has happened in Iran. And my nation and my name and my civilization, everything. Do you know that Iran has done, how much of world civilization has come from Iran and Iranians? Nobody knows.
I would like to tell you I absolutely understand and know the same history you've talked about. I have a good friend who was the lead doctor at the National Clinic in Tehran before the revolution, and she escaped here to America. I was referring to, I should have been clear. Thank you, Moni. I should have been clear. It is truly the leaders who are the problem and the leaders who are causing it. There are many great people in Iran. And I think President Trump made that clear yesterday as well by saying it's the people who deserve a chance, but they are being oppressed. And they are the ones who hopefully will get a chance to bring the nation of Iran back to the glory. It looked like New York, Madison Avenue, back in the 70s. It looked like a very modern city. And so, yes, it is the theocracy that has taken it down a dark place. Thank you for the very sober and beautiful history lesson.
You're listening to The Chris Plant Show. News Talk 105.9 WMAL, making sense of the news.
WMAL traffic from the Hadid Carpet Cleaning Traffic Center. Silver Spring, late delays with the crash on Connecticut Avenue, southbound south of Veers Mill Road, out of White Oak, southbound 29, still heavy, pushing into Four Corners, southbound 95. Seeing those delays persist to merge onto each loop of the Beltway. Still have a lot of the Beltway below speed for the late rush hour. 395, that slow Beltway to King Street, clean up from where we had an earlier tree that came down on 395. Now from GarageDoorRepair.com, the WMAL Stormwatch 7 forecast.
Scattered showers and thunderstorms return this afternoon. We'll have a high of 75. Showers, possibly a thunderstorm overnight, low 65.
We are the American Cancer Society making strides against breast cancer. Are you ready to join the #1 breast cancer movement in the country? Sign up today at makingstrideswalk.org.
Hi, I'm Vince Colonnese, host of The Vince Show and Vince Podcast. It's a show with an obsessive focus on what's good for America. I'll give you the truth beneath the headlines of all of the nation's top stories. The Vince Show is redefining news talk with in-depth interviews, live caller interactions, and a front row seat to the most important conversations of the day, every day. The Vince Show and Vince Podcast.
WMAL's Vince Colonnese, weekdays at noon. News Talk 105.9 WMAL, making sense of the news.
I'm Paula Pan. I help people make the smartest money decisions possible because let's face it, money's too important to wing it.
What you'll hear is a couple money geeks sitting and talking about this stuff that we're so passionate about.
You name it, anything that's on your mind, retirement debt, student loans, saving for college.
It's a personal finance journey. It is a wide-ranging squirrel conversation about the topic of personal finance and good financial planning. Super fun.
Afford anything. Follow and listen on your favorite platform.
Searching HVAC near here.
Right here, ma'am. How can we help?
Wow, nobody local? Huh.
Wait, what? We are an HVAC company literally in your neighborhood. Why is she not seeing us?
Just all the big chains. Well, it is what it is.
What in the... Can you not see us?
Nope, they can't see you because you're buried deep in the list of local HVAC providers. You are invisible online. Introducing Cumulus Boost. Get a boost, get found, get on the map. Learn more at cumulusboost.com.
What would you give for a child you loved? To make their wish come true? To help them fight a critical illness? Just imagine what you'd do. You see, wishes are so powerful, and you can make them real. You can give a child back their childhood, even change the way they feel. Every single one of us can make the stars align. Because when we come together, hope and joy will shine. Wishes need stars like you. Visit Make-A-Wish at wish.org.
No Contest Wrestling. O'Shea Jackson Jr. and TJ Jefferson with the biggest names in the game.
Ricky Saints is in the house, everybody. NXT North American Champion, baby. How you feeling right now, man? I feel great.
Jay Uso, what's going on, man?
A lot of heavy days, but it's okay, man. It's part of the game.
They know who they are, bro. And you know who I am. TJ, can you tell them where to find us?
Yeah. I mean, why else are we here? You can always find us No Contest Wrestling. Check us out.
The No Contest Wrestling Podcast, part of the Rich Eisen Podcast Network. Follow and listen on your favorite platform.
Making sense of your money.
The state of the economy, the ability to afford your life. That's what people want.
WMAL's Vince Colonnese, weekdays at noon.
The kind of thing I pay attention to, I'm looking at.
News Talk 105.9 WMAL, making sense of the news.
Every day, the men and women of the United States Marine Corps stand ready to defend the American way of life. The few, the proud, the Marines.
The Bigger Pockets Podcast Network is your home for real estate investing.
So why real estate?
We keep saying it, but the housing market is shifting more and more towards a buyer's market every week.
Guess what, folks? You can still buy real estate today.
You can buy a quality rental property today.
And build an investment portfolio that cash flows monthly.
These are my favorite markets for cash flow.
And build wealth long term.
The world has changed, but the best way to invest in real estate hasn't.
Search for the Bigger Pockets Real Estate Show anywhere you listen to your podcasts. Blowing out your birthday candles should be easy, but if you have undiagnosed COPD, you may find yourself short of breath. Early diagnosis and treatment can add years to your life. If you have symptoms like wheezing or chronic cough, talk to your doctor and visit copdfoundation.org today.
clarity and context for a complex world.
I'm going to be far more thorough and specific than ever before.
News Talk 105.9. Making sense of the news. WMAL, making sense of mainstream media because the double standard is real. Download the WMAL app to stream us for free.
Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. shared photos on Sunday of himself and grandchildren swimming in a Washington creek that is contaminated with sewage and bacteria. You know, I used to think it was crazy that he had a brain worm, but now I think it's crazy that he's only had one.
Ouch, ouch, ouch. Yeah, there were many jokes available as HHS Secretary swam in Rock Creek, a body of water here in the D.C. area, not known for its purity. You wouldn't be doing beer commercials talking about just how the crystal clear waters of Rock Creek make the best beer. No, they don't. They're very contaminated. He's going to be testifying today in D.C. He will be on the Hill, as they like to say, testifying. And I wonder if anyone will ask him about that. But he had his grandkids in Rock Creek. Ooh. And should we rename it Poop Creek? I mean, come on. Fecal contamination. Be a little smarter. Please, Mr. Secretary. We need you around. It is Michael Pelka in for my friend Chris Plant and the Chris Plant Show. You're always welcome. 888-630-9625, 888-630-9625. I want to put a button on the discussion of what the president was saying as it relates to Iran and a deal with Iran, because the administration is doing so much work in so many places, it's almost difficult to keep up with it. You've got the direct talks that are happening between the Iranian nation and the president's team trying to get some kind of deal to get the enrichment of uranium stopped. And we also have the president making the business trips across the Middle East that also have diplomatic implications to them. You have the possibility of a sit down with Putin, Zelensky, and Trump, which wouldn't that be historic? And everything else the administration is doing. We saw inflation go down. We'll talk about that again, because it almost killed CNN yesterday. There was almost a choking incident with a senior citizen on the set of CNN yesterday when the inflation numbers came out. It really was serious. They almost had to do the Heimlich maneuver. We'll play that. But the president was speaking today in Riyadh once again and spoke quite frankly about the nation of Iran.
I want to make a deal with Iran. I want to do something if it's possible. But for that to happen, it must stop sponsoring terror, halt its bloody proxy wars, and permanently and verifiably cease its pursuit of nuclear weapons. They cannot have a nuclear weapon. I don't imagine there's anybody at this table or anybody in this room that would say they can. I'm strongly urging all nations to join us in fully and totally enforcing the sanctions that I just placed on Iran. And we also placed secondary sanctions, which are in certain ways even more devastating. Iran, as you know, had no money when I left office. They were broke. They had no money for Hamas. They had no money for Hezbollah. There was no attack. There was no thought of attack. There would have been no attack if I were president.
I think he's 100% correct. And President Trump also was quite clear on who the problem was as it related to all of Iran's sudden emboldened behavior. He was quite clear on who caused the problem.
Biden didn't do anything because he never did anything about anything. He had no capability, he had no ability, and it was a shame what he's done to so many countries, including our own.
He's right. He's right. He said that this morning as well. Very clear. Very clear. What did Joe Biden do, Mr. President?
Biden didn't do anything because he never did anything about anything.
Never did anything about anything. Now, I think that is an accurate assessment. That should be under Joe Biden's presidential portrait. Just saying. Let's jump to the phones real quickly because we're wrapping up this portion of the discussion about the Iranian talks, negotiations underway. Mac is calling, pardon me, from Chattanooga, Tennessee. Hello, Mac.
Yes, sir. So nice to talk to you, regular listeners. I just want to mention it to you. Iran was not an Islamic country. It was Zoroastrian country. Zoroastrian is a religion. It's close to like a Hindu religion.
Yeah.
And when the Muslims took over, they killed the king, and a lot of people were murdered, killed, and a lot of people, original Zoroastrian Iranian, they migrated to India, where they live very peacefully, and they have the most charitable foundation. You must have heard about Tata Motors or Jaguar.
I have.
They own that company.
Yes, they do. I'm familiar, Mac, and I understand the history, but we have to look at Iran at this point through the lens of who owns and who's operating it, because it had a history of great accomplishments in the past. Iran had a history, as I mentioned earlier, that if you walk down the streets of Tehran in 1976 and took pictures, you would see women and men in 20th century attire looking quite modern and fashionable. And then if you fast forward to the 80s, the theocracy had come in and the mullahs had taken over. And you had Ayatollah Khomeini, who had clamped down and taken away all the rights of women. And the place was sent back centuries. And so it's like somebody bought the house and decided they were going to take the exterior and paint it black and take everything good from the interior and throw it out. And we can only deal with them understanding what their intentions are. And if they keep telling us their intentions are death to America and death to Israel and death to the West, we got to try and change their minds. We can't go back to what was. And many of the good people that escaped from Iran over the decades have gone and settled in places, as you mentioned, and done incredible things. So it's not about what Iran was. We can only deal with what Iran is right now. And I respect the president trying to do it peacefully and trying to do an economic squeeze. But Iran has help. Iran has been propped up by Russia and China and to some great extent, North Korea over the past several years. So what President Trump's trying to do is a really, I think, brilliant political isolation of them. And we will see. But thank you for that lesson. Thank you for that story on that. I think that is a very important fact people need to understand. Iran wasn't always broken. Honest to God, there were women in miniskirts in the 70s walking around the streets of Tehran. There were discos. That's all gone. It's only in the history books. Now, it could come back. We will see. I mentioned yesterday was a good day for, I believe, the economy. This is a little bit of a momentum that's happening for this administration. We had all this great stuff that was announced on Monday as it related to the economy, the trade deals, the prices of medicines that we anticipate will be going down. And then the inflation numbers rolled. And the inflation numbers were positive. They were good. And CNN almost had a heart attack, almost had trouble talking about it. They couldn't ignore it because the number was so strong, so positive. They couldn't just uncover or just cover it up. They had to actually talk about it. Wolf Blitzer having a hard time.
Wallet. U.S. inflation slowing, I should say, to its lowest rate in more than 4 years. That, according to April's Consumer Price Index report. It's an unexpected and very welcome development that's defying economists' expectations amid President Trump's ongoing trade war. Let's go live right now to CNN business and politics correspondent Vanessa Yurkevich, who's watching all of this in New York. Vanessa, walk us through this morning's report. Where do things stand?
Encouraging signs, Wolf. Inflation continuing to move in the right direction, cooling on an annual basis to 2.3%.
That's familiar to me. I voted for that. I voted for every bit of that. Every single bit of that. It's so tough for them. And if you were watching it on CNN when that happened, one of the most remarkable things about it is Wolf Blitzer's face. He had this frowny face. I believe it's RBF is what it's called. That's what the kids on the street call it. But just to review, Donald Trump, year over year, gas is down 11.8% year over year. Fuel down 9%, almost 10. Airfare, almost 8. Propane, kerosene, firewood down 5.6%. Energy is down. Major appliance costs are down. Fresh vegetables down. Hotels are down. Eggs are way down again. Car rentals, non-prescription drugs down fractionally, but they're going in the right direction. And it is absolutely killing them. It's absolutely destroying CNN and MSNBC to report this. So they're also having to report that J.P. Morgan, which had been telling everyone the U.S. was heading to a recession, has just ditched that projection. Now, how did that happen? How did it happen? A month ago, we were telling, Swalwell was telling everybody that your 401k is a 201k. And JP Morgan Chase and others were saying we were at a 60% chance of a recession in this country. And now in 30 short days, you are washing that away. JP Morgan Chase, isn't that a little bit of irresponsible behavior reporting? This just in, Kraft Heinz has announced they're going to put $3 billion into production in the United States. $3 billion. Thank you, Kraft Heinz. Another announcement, and the president hasn't even had a chance to say it because he's busy overseas. $3 billion from Kraft Heinz. This is yet another manufacturer. I would like to see them say also, we're not going to have the high fructose corn syrup in any of our ketchups or foods or anything. I think we're going to need the Health and Human Services Secretary to deal with that. The economic news, it is coming in fast and furious every single day, it seems. And the president announcing a new deal, apparently every hour as he's on his trip. I don't think the Democrats quite know what to do with this. I think they're throwing up their hands, so they're attempting to create drama where drama does not exist. Yesterday, I know Chris played the ridiculous clip of AOC threatening anyone who dares put a finger on any of the Congress people who charge at ICE agents who are just doing their jobs. Well, Hakeem Jeffries, perhaps you've seen him karate chopping the air. Hakeem Jeffries issued his threat to DHS as well yesterday, in case you missed it.
Your statement the other day after there was this incident in Newark, you said they better not touch our members.
Correct.
What happens if they were to go and arrest these members, or if they would try to sanction them during the House of Representatives?
They'll find out.
What would you do?
They'll find out.
Of course. I mean, doesn't that broach a...
They'll find out.
Doesn't that go across...
That's a red line.
What's the red line, though? I mean, I know we have to...
It's a red line. It's very clear. First of all, I think that the so-called Homeland Security spokesperson is a joke. It's a joke. They know better than to go down that road, and it's been made loudly and abundantly clear to the Trump administration. We're not going to be intimidated by their tactics to try to force principled opposition from not standing up to their extremism. It hasn't happened during the entirety of this failed term. It didn't happen when Donald Trump temporarily was sitting high in the immediate aftermath of the election. Do you think it's going to happen now?
Now, I wonder if Hakeem Jeffries is is experiencing some kind of computer delay. 'Cause the pauses are really kind of weird, and it feels like it's a clip that you're watching on the internet that regularly stops so it can cache and catch up. But no, that's his style of speaking. He's karate chopping the air and talking about the repetition of find out. You'll find out. You'll find out. Oh, yeah? Well, what is it? Well, that's a red line. What's a red line? It's a red line. What? They're grasping at straws because they're so devoid of anything that is catching on with the American people. The numbers are dropping to the point where they are laughable. In fact, to show you just how out of touch the Democrat Party is, yesterday in the House of Representatives, a member of the House showed you the most important thing that they have to work on today. Even though the GOP was up all night working on the tax bill, and we'll talk about that next hour because there's big news that's coming up. But when we return, I will play you perhaps the greatest example of a waste of time in the House of Representatives. I know it's only Wednesday, but this one's already in the top 2. That's next. It's Michael Pelka in for my friend Chris Plant on the Chris Plant Show.
This is the Chris Plant Show. News Talk 105.9 WMAL, making sense of the news.
WMAL traffic from the Hadid Carpet Cleaning Traffic Center. All right, hang in there. 395 northbound, getting better, approaching King Street. All lanes reopened where we had the earlier tree that came down on 395. 295 still solid delays northbound from Joint Base and at Pasture Bowling. Heading toward the inbound 11th Street Bridge. Southbound Baltimore Washington Parkway is bunched up inside the Beltway to the crash near 410. Down trees are cleared and reopened as Beach Drive each direction between Cedar Lane and Knowles Avenue. Now from GarageDoorRepair.com, the WMAL Stormwatch 7 forecast.
Scattered showers and thunderstorms return this afternoon. We'll have a high of 75. Showers, possibly a thunderstorm overnight, low 65.
We are the American Cancer Society, making strides against breast cancer. Are you ready to join the #1 breast cancer movement in the country? Sign up today at makingstrideswalk.org.
75 years of research, 75 years of policy,
75 years of opportunity,
75 years of freedom.
This is 75 years of the Muscular Dystrophy Association. Join us at mda75.org.
Hi, I'm Jamie McMurray, professional race car driver here with cab driver Artie.
Professional cab driver.
Sorry, professional cab driver Artie. Drinking responsibly is knowing your limits. If you are over yours, ask Artie or someone like Artie to get you home safely. To learn more about drinking responsibly, go to beforeyoudrink.org.
So, you think I could take your number 26 Crown Royal race car for a spin?
Did you get out of there?
Be a champion. Drink responsibly. This message has been brought to you by the Century Council.
I'm Paula Pan. I help people make the smartest money decisions possible because let's face it, money's too important to wing it.
What you'll hear is a couple money geeks sitting and talking about this stuff that we're so passionate about.
You name it, anything that's on your mind, retirement debt, student loans, saving for college.
It's a personal finance journey. It is a wide-ranging squirrel conversation about the topic of personal finance and good financial planning. Super fun.
Afford anything. Follow and listen on your favorite platform.
School absences are often due to the absence of necessary resources. But when Communities in Schools is present, students are connected to the support they need to show up ready to learn. Visit communitiesinschools.org. Being present matters.
What would you give for a child you loved? To make their wish come true? To help them fight a critical illness? Just imagine what you'd do. You see, wishes are so powerful, and you can make them real. You can give a child back their childhood, even change the way they feel. Every single one of us can make the stars align. Because when we come together, hope and joy will shine. Wishes need stars like you. Visit Make-A-Wish at wish.org.
Making sense of the media.
The news media is attacking him because this is what happens when you're a Republican.
Chris Plant, weekdays 9 to noon.
Yeah, our news media, really.
News Talk 105.9 WMAL, making sense of the news. Clarity and context for a complex world.
I'm going to be far more thorough and specific than ever before.
News Talk 105.9. Making sense of the news. For a local news source you can trust, visit WMAL.com.
Thank God for that.
Get the day's top stories, stream your favorite WMAL shows, access our podcast archives, and more. WMAL.com. Making sense of your world online.
Today's students are tomorrow's great thinkers and innovators. But right now, millions of kids don't have the supplies they need. Donor Shoes is a nonprofit that lets you support students and teachers in your community and beyond. Learn more at DonorShoes.org.
Nightly Scroll with Haley Carania.
It is Haley Carania. I'm excited to be here because there's a lot to scroll through on X, on Instagram, on TikTok, on Truth Social. Love seeing you all in the chat before the show. I tried to jump in just a few minutes before to say hello. I love the chat interaction. Thank you for helping. Love all my homies that I get to scroll with. If you want to listen, Nightly Scroll with Haley is where you can find me. Just search that up and I will be there. We've got to spread the word far and wide.
Nightly Scroll with Haley Carania. Follow and listen on your favorite platform.
While serving in Iraq, our vehicle was hit. They didn't think I was going to make it. I'm Latoya Lucas, and I'm a veteran. I had to learn to live with the scars, both visible and invisible.
DAV helps veterans like Latoya get the benefits they've earned. They help more than 1 million veterans every year.
My victory is overcoming my wounds so I can help other veterans.
Support more victories for veterans. Go to DAV.org.
I was choosing alcohol over my family. That's when I made the call. Now I'm finding better ways to cope.
Mental health care works when you make the call. Visit mentalhealthcareworks.org. A message from the American Psychiatric Association Foundation.
News Talk 105.9 WMAL. Making sense of the news.
I was laughing at this yesterday. Looking at the approval numbers of Democrats, I'm thinking, well, they're going to jump on some really important topic, right? They want to take control of the House in the upcoming midterms. And so they're going to come out with some really important issues that matter to America and Americans. And on display, Representative Yasmin Ansari unveiled the new bill that she's proposing yesterday.
As the first Iranian-American Democrat elected to Congress, I can tell you that the Persian community in the United States and across the world is outraged at the attempt to change this historically significant name. And that is why today I am proud to introduce the Persian Gulf Act to prohibit any federal funds from being used to rename the body of water and prevent government documents from referring to the Persian Gulf by anything except the name.
So there it is. There's your priorities. They're just knocking them out of the park. These Democrats, they've got a plan. It's almost as if they're trying to create a situation where they're doing really dumb things and things that are going to get them put even in a worse position when it comes to the majority. Like that guy, Sri Thanadar. Remember the guy that wanted to impeach Trump?
Impeaching Donald John Trump, President of the United States, for high crimes and misdemeanors.
Yeah, Michigan's 13th district must be so proud of the choice they've made. This was yesterday as well. Detroit's own Representative Thanadar, and the guy's got some serious problems himself. We know he's got a serious history chasing him, but he made a big sign yesterday that has the articles of impeachment against Donald Trump. And I think he's still struggling with the language because the sign reads, Congressman Thanadar files articles of impeachment to impeach Trump. You're from the Department of Redundancy Department, sir. And he put a picture of Trump on the big sign and a picture of himself. I think he has aspirations that are well beyond his capabilities. We shall see. We have so much more to get to today. Chuck Schumer said some really ridiculous things yesterday. That usually happens on any day ending in a Y. We will share them with you. There are updates on the Biden brain decline and what the media knew but didn't say. And who's George Clooney? Still, one of my favorite stories of the week, Joe Biden not being able to recognize George Clooney. Oof. Oh, yeah, they're trying to make Biden sympathetic. I'll explain around the corner. It's Opelka in for Plant on the Chris Plant Show.
WMAL-FM, Woodbridge, Washington, a Cumulus media station. Making sense of the news. News Talk 105.9. News now.
WMAL News at 10. Good morning. I'm John Matthews. Downed trees and power outages are freckled across the region following yesterday's rain, with most of the DMV seeing an inch or two, though parts of Prince William County saw up to 4 inches. Frostburg in western Maryland saw more than 5, and the rain's not over. We're expecting more showers and thunderstorms returning this afternoon.
I think a lot of the severe storm chances today depend on if we get any midday sunshine. I am worried, though, with any of the cells that develop this afternoon and this evening, they could produce some flash flooding.
7 News meteorologist Eileen Whalen, and beyond that, we now have a coastal flood watch for the D.C. area.
The coastal flood watch, basically, there's potential for moderate tidal flooding, particularly around the Georgetown area.
Meteorologist Brian Lasorsa with the National Weather Service.
We're expecting fresh water from the Potomac River to pile up around the tidal Potomac River, around D.C. there, from all that rainfall that fell yesterday.
With high tide in the Washington Channel Thursday morning expected up to 2 feet above normal. Barbara Britt, WMAL and WMAL.com.
On his way out the door as D.C.'s interim U.S. Attorney Ed Martin announced the results of a 4-day crackdown on illegal immigrants, part of President Trump's executive order to make D.C. safe and beautiful.
In the last week alone, in this initiative, we had nearly 200, I think 189 by count, have been captured and are facing the consequences.
Martin had harsh words for the D.C. government, accusing it of becoming a sanctuary city and hinting that losing home rule is a possible solution to the problem. Metro cannot expand use of automated trains until it fixes the issue of overrunning the platform.
And until it does, ATO may not be used for passenger service on any other rail line.
Safety Commission CEO David Meyer at Tuesday's meeting, where the discussion over automated trains not hitting their platform target remained a safety concern. Paul Smith of the commission spoke of ongoing collaborative talks and requests from Metro to provide analysis on why this happens and how to avoid.
Once we are in receipt of these items at the necessary stages of this project, both of our organizations will have the information needed to consider the use of ATO on other Metro rail lines.
Scott Lynn on WMAL and WMAL.com.
Hundreds of people signed up to speak on a proposal to tear down the government center in Franconia and replace it with 120 affordable housing units. The plan's drawn sharp response from both supporters and critics.
Shoehorning people into this area, I think, just to meet the goals, not because it's good, not because it's fair.
Safe, decent housing is one of the most basic building blocks, helping people become all they can be.
Critics say the area is not conducive to neighborhood living. Supporters say critics are just worried about their own property values. At this hour, the freshman class at the Naval Academy taking part in the annual Herndon Monument climb as the plebes work together to climb the 21-foot-tall monument, which has been slicked down with lard to try and retrieve a white plebe cat. They've been at it for about 2 hours now. The Dow is up 45 points. NASDAQ's up 58. Traffic and weather next.
Every day, the men and women of the United States Marine Corps stand ready to defend the American way of life. The few, the proud, the Marines.
We are the American Cancer Society, making strides against breast cancer. Are you ready to join the #1 breast cancer movement in the country? Sign up today at makingstrideswalk.org.
No Contest Wrestling. O'Shea Jackson Jr. and TJ Jefferson with the biggest names in the game.
Ricky Saints is in the house, everybody. NXT North American Champion, baby. How you feeling right now, man? I feel great.
Jay Uso. What's going on, man?
A lot of heavy days, but it's okay, man. It's part of the game.
They know who they are, bro. And you know who I am. TJ, can you tell them where to find us?
Yeah. I mean, why else are we here? You can always find us No Contest Wrestling. Check us out.
The No Contest Wrestling Podcast, part of the Rich Eisen Podcast Network. Follow and listen on your favorite platform.
Making sense of your world on the go. Stream your favorite shows, get the day's top headlines, and access our podcast archives, all with the new WMAL app.
This is for you.
Get the WMAL app on Google Play or the Apple App Store and stay connected.
We're the stronger than we look type. I've had type 1 diabetes since I was 2. The braver than you think type.
I have to take insulin shots every single day.
The type that will stop at nothing.
No more blood sugar tests.
Absolutely nothing.
No more complications.
Until type 1 becomes type none.
Support JDRF's life-changing research, and one day you'll say, I helped turn type 1 into type none. Join us now at jdrf.org.
A Better Life with Dr. Sanjay Gupta.
You ever wonder just how bad for you is smoking? Well, a single cigarette can take 20 minutes off your life expectancy. A full pack? That works out to be almost 7 hours of life lost per pack. That's according to new research out of the UK. The study found with smoking, it doesn't necessarily eat into the later period of your life that tends to be lived in poorer health. Rather, it seems to erode some relatively healthier section in the middle of your life. Now, sure enough, the CDC says life expectancy for smokers is expected overall to be at least 10 years shorter than for non-smokers. Now, while it's true fewer people smoke today than in the past, smoking is still the #1 cause of preventable death and disease in the United States. Quitting is hard, but there are plenty of medications and resources out there that can help. To get started, just log on to smokefree.gov. I'm Dr. Sanjay Gupta, helping you live a better life.
Steve Hirshhorn in the Hadid Carpet Cleaning Traffic Center.
On the 395 northbound, still under speed from the Beltway up to Seminary Road. North of that, there was a tree down in the roadway on 395 northbound at Route 7, King Street, exit 5. The right lane and the merge lane is closed there. Tree down to the road, northbound 395 at King Street. Then on 395, after that, you're slow from Washington Boulevard across the 14th Street Bridge onto the freeway toward the 3rd Street Tunnel. Beltway Interloop northbound 495, pretty slow from Route 7, leaving Tyson's up toward the American Legion Bridge. Now from GarageDoorRepair.com, the WMAL Stormwatch 7 forecast.
Scattered showers and a few thunderstorms this afternoon and into the evening with temperatures in the 70s. Tomorrow we'll see showers and thunderstorms that will be isolated during the afternoon, upper 70s to lower 80s. Hot and humid on Friday with storm chances. I'm 7 News meteorologist Steve Rudman, the First Alert Weather Center.
Right now it is 66 at Reagan National. I'm John Matthews. News Talk 105.9 WMAL.
Now on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app. Chris Plant.
Well, guys, today President Trump arrived in Saudi Arabia for the first leg of his trip to the Middle East. Yep, Trump is in Saudi Arabia. He's hoping to make $1 trillion worth of deals, ranging from shady to sketchy to sus.
I swear that laughter's canned. I can't be 1,000% sure, but that sure sounded like canned laughter. And I'm an expert on fake stuff. It is the Chris Plant Show. Michael Pelke in for my friend Chris Plant. I'm here for a couple of days, and we'll try and get to everything. But yeah, the president signing deals with sovereign nation funds that are committing to spending trillions of dollars in this country. And you're unhappy about that? How does that make any kind of a sense? I wonder. I really wonder how that makes any kind of sense. Oh no, we don't want companies investing here. We don't want countries investing here. That's just stupid. That's the word I'm going to use. It is Mike Opelka. As I said, you're welcome to join us, 888-630-9625. A lot to discuss today. The president had his big event before dawn on the East Coast. He did a bit of an address in Riyadh and then got on Air Force One and flew to Doha, Qatar. The place that's wanting to give us a plane, a $400 million plane. And the left is saying, oh, they're giving it to Donald Trump. No, they're not. He's flat out said it's going to the DOD. There are a lot of reasons why we should question it. But if it's a legitimate deal, why wouldn't we accept it? Look, Air Force One is 40 years old, or on the verge of being 40 years old. Do you want the most powerful man on the planet flying in a 40-year-old plane when other world leaders are flying in planes that are more advanced, maybe safer? Now, the plane needs to be tricked out. We need to pimp his plane, as they say. You need to put the new avionics on the plane, even if it's a couple of years old, and you need to put in the defensive capabilities that Air Force One has. And as it was explained to me by a guy whose dad worked on the original Air Force One, the plane that's currently in service, the Secret Service and all of our protection agencies have to be aware of everything that's on that plane. So yes, they will have to check it out. They will have to break it down to make sure that there's nothing nefarious implanted in the new Air Force One. But why wouldn't you want to save $400 million for the American people? Why wouldn't you? And so the usual suspects are out there trying to make hay of this. Jamie Raskin is out rattling pots and pans, saying, oh, it's grift. Yeah, it's not going to Donald Trump. And just make sure it's legit. That's all I'm saying. Why should we get upset about it? Why should we get upset about saving the people money? Schumer's going to be mad about this too. You know, he's mad about everything. And the interesting thing that I'm finding out about the Democrats and their friends in the left side of the mainstream media is that they have stopped running cover for Chuck Schumer and for Joe Biden. At least it appears that way. You know, we're in the middle of this surge now of everyone confessing that they knew Joe Biden was damaged. He was broken. We knew he was falling apart. They talked about whether or not he was going to die in office and what to do because Kamala Harris would then suddenly be the president. Like, you guys didn't know this when they were sworn in? Seriously, that's the rule. Sure, the president is sworn in and you hope the president serves their term, a Democrat, Republican, whatever. But I would be a little shocked if there were not an automatic contingency plan that everyone was aware of before it got to the point where we faced Joe Biden in serious cognitive decline. And maybe now we'll hear the story of the Alzheimer's doctor who visited the White House. Maybe now we'll hear about that. I doubt it. I want to get into the plane. I want to get into the story of what the Democrats are now saying about Biden's mental state. But I also mentioned this earlier. I believe the effort is going to be now on making Joe Biden a sympathetic character. You cannot pick on him because he's having a health crisis. He's 80 years old. He's having a problem. They found a tiny polyp in a routine investigation, a routine checkup. So does that mean we can't talk about what happened? They found a small nodule during a prostate exam of Joe Biden. So does that mean hands off? We can't ask questions? I want him to be healthy. He should enjoy his retirement. He should go to his beach house that we built the giant wall around, paid $500,000 to build a wall around the Biden beach house in Lower Slower, Delaware. I want him to enjoy his retirement. But we're not going to stop asking questions about the people who covered up for the serious cognitive decline. And what about the auto pen? Can we get to the bottom of that story, please? I think it's okay to ask questions. I think you're supposed to ask questions. Let's grab a couple of calls here and see what's going on. 888-630-9625. Rob is in Montgomery County. Hello, Rob.
I'm on the radio. Good morning.
Good morning. Behave yourself.
I am. I was at work. Mike, thank you for taking over. And They need to give you that slot, like people were saying yesterday in the afternoon. And you have my vote. Okay, you have my vote. You have my vote.
Thank you, Rob. You're very kind.
Well, we appreciate all that you all do. Believe me, because we're hearing one important fact: the truth. Anyway, AOC. I know she's on and off the news a little bit, but I was talking to the screener, and she's so nice and polite. She reminded me that I needed to change my middle word for her. My new, it's all out corruption. That should be AOC. All out corruption.
Oh, I like it. I like all out corruption. I also like Alexandria occasionally coherent.
You're asking people why they respond.
Anyway, we got to laugh with some of this, but getting back to what President Trump's doing and the Democrat Party completely imploding. They're completely in destruct mode. They can't even fake a beard correctly. Some of these people. So, really, it's like you look like my 16-year-old son, But anyway, listen, keep up all the good work. I had some other things to get to, but you have a lot of people calling, and have a good week. God bless. Stay safe, and thank you again for what you do, sir.
Oh, thank you, Rob. Very, very nice words. Thank you, appreciate it. And everyone, remember, turn your radio down. Thank you. Jane is on the phones. Be kind to Jane as well. Let's go to Chicago, where Jim is listening on the great WLS. Hello, Jim.
Good morning, Michael. How are you?
I'm good, sir. What's up?
Well, I was telling your screener, I served 12 years in the Marine Corps, and part of that was with HMX-1 out at Quantico.
Okay.
When this aircraft shows up, if it shows up, it is going to be completely stripped down on the inside. It's going to be gone over with a fine-tooth comb, and there won't be anything on that aircraft that even resembles what it showed up looking like. It's going to be, if it's being given to the DOD, as they're saying, it's going to be turned into when you see the pictures of Air Force One that we know Air Force One looks like. It's not going to be a Sheikh's palace. It's going to be the president's aircraft.
Yeah, it kind of looks like a pimped out plane. I've seen the insides of it. I would not be ashamed to own that plane myself, but it's not presidential. It's pimpish to me.
Yeah, absolutely. And having served a little bit of time in the Middle East, that's pretty much every palace you go into. But I have no problem with them giving this thing, if it's truly being given as a donation to the DOD and there's no strings attached. Okay, let's save ourselves $400 million. Boeing is so far behind on building the two that are supposed to be replacing the current aircraft. Why not?
Yeah, I think that makes good common sense, but there are a bunch of people who are intent on finding something to be angry and offended about. We call them the offendinista class, Jim. They wake up every morning, they get ready to light their hair on fire the minute they find something they disagree with. And it is sad. I love the fact that, you saw this process or this kind of approach to the aircraft up close and personal. And I do think, I'm old enough to remember, we at one point built an embassy in Moscow years ago, and we were getting ready to move in. And the United States intelligence community said, let's sweep for bugs before we move in.
Believe it or not. But my thing is, I think you as a journalist, because you technically are part of the media, you should let your uninformed callers and audience know that this is not a gift to the DOD. Your president has clearly stated numerous times